hats, everyone. Well, no, I got that. But there was like
What page are you on?
one and 5. Like there's pages, sewer utility. 3 times.
Yeah, so the first one, all of those paid on the 4th would have been for June's, and then I got this year's in July's billing early.
That's what I was just saying.
Yeah, yep.
I didn't know if that was or something.
No. Yeah, so there's multiple select lines purchases. We received a $30,000 grant to secure a teacher grant, and we did all new lines. There are 9 school down lines. Full schools in rooms on ground level.
Okay, I'll see. That.
Oh.
I have that. That's how I know. That's why I got my question. That's why I got my question. As to why it is not that.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Informational reports.
Okay, we had in the LGIP to help cover the second payment of the parking lot resurfacing. You'll see that on the bills next month. ESSER funding, we are finally at zero across the board with all of our COVID dollars. Everything has been spent. So that's nice to see that fall off the books. There's a budget update attached to end out the fiscal year June 30th. And then an audit update. Our audit is scheduled for Monday. When I printed this report this last Monday, we were 90% done. I literally need one item from Denise down at the elementary school, and then everything will be ready to be uploaded. 8 a.m. Monday morning is when our audit starts. And I'm sure I'll be fielding calls from Tim Hoyt all day just for questions. Otherwise, that's really all I have for you guys today.
So when will they give our report?
So they do a school a week every Monday, starting this last Monday, July 15th. He didn't think he'd make it to our August board meeting. He's shooting for the September board meeting to have our audit, which is typically what we've done in the past, as long as the audit's been completed by then. So.
We need to set the levy on.
Yes.
I believe so.
Yes, we need to have a resolution for that in office.
Anything else?
And by September 6th, the resolution has to go by September 6th.
Okay, technology director.
Okay, so we will have the Ag Shop fiber install on the 24th. They'll be out to do that. Final request, so updating on our E-rate stuff. I've had multiple requests for the same information from the feds. I had to engage the State Board of Ed, my resources there multiple times to get help with that. The final request from them came late last week, and I got the budget adjusted and sent back to them. So that's where we've been waiting on that since March for them to do what they're supposed to do. The big hang up with this is that the last time we did this, you submitted the full budget, they looked at it and went, yeah, but you only get this amount of money, so we'll just cut you the check for what you get. So if you submit a budget for $118,000 and you only get $51,720, they'll just cut you a check for $51,720. Procedures now have changed that the money that you ask for has to equal exactly the amount that they're going to give you back. So you have to either go in and completely redo everything to try and get it to the $51,720. So we got pretty darn close with all the rest of that, but that's the way they want to do it now. So your tax dollars at work. So the Amending, we have completed phase 1 and phase 2 of that large project. I have one access point left to hang the ag shop, and that's out on the main shop floor. It's tricky to get one out there. So Justin and I are working on that. We are now at 1 AP per classroom, which is the standard that pretty much everyone has gone to. We did, since we're now, we have increased speeds with our new switches, and so all of the cabling and all of the closets have been upgraded to reflect that with new Cat 6 cabling to as much stuff as we possibly can. And that also gave us the ability to upgrade all of our back-end servers to 10 gig as well. So right now, as it sits, between the high school and the field house, we have a 10 gig connection. At the elementary, between my office there and then the other side of the building, that's a 10 gig connection. And then here next week will be 10 gig from here up to the ag shop. Next year, we'll replace all the interconnects on the switches with 10 gig. So like the one that runs from here back to the office here, that's up to, so all those will be 10 gig. And we're replacing all the UPSs at the same time. Let's see here. Okay, with Power School, the end of the year has been completed. We have our new food service, not the one we purchased last month, but the one that actually does the money. That back-end training will commence for me on the same day as we do the fiber install, because that's the only day we have. The end user training for the people who are actually going to operate it, so like Dory, Denise, and Ginny will happen on the 7th of August. I'm prepping right now for online registration, and I've I've sent out a notice to all the key stakeholders that if you need stuff put in on Leonard Station, I need it as soon as possible to get it put in there so we can fire it up earlier in August. So with ClassLink, which is replacing Clever for us this year, the back end setup has been completed. So it's syncing with PowerSchool, and now I'm contacting the vendors for cutting over each one of our products. In the ag shop, the computer desks have been ordered, monitors have been ordered, and I've already had computers ready for deployment out there. So in working with Mr. Ross and Lisa, we're going to switch up some strategy on how to do some stuff out there this year. So we're going to be using some products so they have more hands-on with modeling and data manipulation. And then I'm also in the process now of switching my inventory system from the one that we currently have to the new one, which will allow, like, parent will be able to go into PowerSchool and actually look at what Chromebook their child has checked out to them, and then if they've had any work done on it, it will reflect inside of PowerSchool as well. So if this is the third time we replaced the keyboard this year, then they suddenly get a bill for it, and the parent/guardian says, what's this whole thing? Just go into your PowerSchool portal and see this is when they broke it, and then a week later they broke it again, and then a week later they broke it again. So, and then that, and on top of all the rest of the summer work we have been on, it's been quite busy. So, if anybody's got any questions. All right, thank you.
I have the ISET results. I'll just take a minute to take a look at our scores. I did not include state scores, so we were either above state or at.
So like on the map, is there anything that's going to help the curriculum wise?
You know, we are going to open new curriculum this year.
This year.
This year, yes.
Coming.
Then the fall for 2025. So we've got some great things in place. I mean, we have IXL that we practice with, and we have Rocket Math we practice with our facts. Teachers do a great job. It's just a hands-on class. Students, it's tough. I will say that Suzanne Bringer, she had a goal in mind for her math kids. She looked at the fifth grade coming in as sixth graders, and she met her goal, so she was really pleased. She was actually surprised at some of the students that performed well, to be honest. So that was exciting. So she projected and she succeeded, so that was great.
So like fifth grade and the grades, so that's like all combined. So it's like one. So you don't have a percentage of the class.
So that is, yes. So incoming fifth graders would have been, so sorry, at the beginning of the year last year. So in the fall, she predicted that this is what she's going to get, that she wants her students to get on the state test. I mean, we met that standard for her. Yeah, so it'll be interesting with this coming fifth graders if we can get that math score to come up.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Dory? Okay, Superintendent.
Okay, before I start, the school bus has been loaded. And I can't remember if I sent that out or not, but it's here. What's that?
I see that it was in the bill.
Yeah, so we waited. Yeah, we got it, so we're good. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. Let's see, so let's go through a couple high school things. So I'll start with ISAT results as well, I guess. Okay, so what I did here is I looked at those classes by subject. I put their score and then the state of Iowa score, and then I put whether or not that class increased, decreased, or was the same as the previous year. Same group of kids. So I'm not comparing 5th grade to 5th grade. It's the same group of kids. Couple things. As far as comparing like to the state of Idaho, we're pretty actually darn close. It's all within the margin of error. Those classes that don't have an increase or a decrease is because they didn't take the ISAT last year, so I had nothing to compare it to. And so it just is what it is at that with those numbers. One thing, and you know, we looked at the elementary scores, and I mean, you clearly like these scores. There are some bright spots, but I mean, they're not great. Like especially, I mean, math has always been an issue.
11th grade math is poor.
Yeah. One thing that is, and I'm going to show this for a couple of reasons. One thing that is somewhat promising is that most of our kids that go through our system, K through 12, they're proficient. We are getting a huge number of kids coming in, and when a kid comes in, at this point, over the last 5 to 10 years, you can about put money on it that they're in special ed. It's probably 90% of the kids moving in. And so I say that for a couple of reasons, just so you know, and just kind of looking forward, resources in special ed, like it's just, and this isn't unique to Kendrick. Like we talk about this at our regional and state meetings. This is everything. Special ed numbers are skyrocketing. And it's just what we're seeing. So what I did, just to kind of give you an idea, is I took a class, the 7th grade, and I took names out, and I labeled any kid that's a transfer kid within the last 2 years. And so these colors are the different levels. So blue is advanced, green is proficient or at grade level, yellow is basic, so maybe just below grade level, and red is below basic. So that's most of it. The kids that are in our system, K-12, they're doing okay. Like those numbers aren't bad.
See, that's what I was going after, is this number here. Like, the percentage of the class. How
Yeah.
many are doing over what we should be in, when you're down, because you're gonna have those kids
And I just picked the sample
in
class.
all the classes.
But you can look at these transfer kids that came in, almost all of them in special ed. So over the next, I mean, I don't see it changing. Like we're going to continue to see our special ed numbers increase, and it's just kind of where we are right now. So it's just kind of FYI.
We keep sending numbers up the last 2 years for sure, for high school.
And you think like the kids that are taking these, are they taking them serious when they're taking these tests, or are they just doing it just to get them to do it?
Kids are taking it more serious now than they have in the past because we started incentivizing it last year. And we saw our numbers skyrocket last year, and then this year they kind of plateaued. Because when they show that they're at grade level and they can be proficient on the ISAT, then they're exempt from that semester final. And so there's incentive there for them to do the best. Do we have kids that go in and sit down and just literally do this? Yes, we do. And there's no incentive there that's going to maybe change that, but we have most of our kids doing their best. Okay. Any other questions there? Looking at math requirements. So Algebra 2 is not required. It's like junior year math. So a lot of those kids, they try to avoid it. And and then they go in and take the ISAP. We are going to try to get all of our kids, or at least close to all of our kids, in Algebra 2 next year, moving forward. We're just not really going to have a lot of options against it, where they can opt out of it. We've seen kids not take it, and,
They should be taken.
yeah.
They should be taken.
Right. And we've had situations where we reach out to parents and we strongly encourage it. So we're trying to get them in there.
So it's your own too, so it's not clear. So that's the requirement.
Okay. Let's see. Fall sports is going to start August 12th this year. It's a little bit later. Right now, we don't have any kids signed up for cross country. That could change over the next month or so. We'll see. We co-op that with your 7th grade orientation, family orientation this year is going to be on August 19th. So with that night, we have the incoming 7th graders come in, get situated, get into the lockers. Parents ask questions, kids ask questions. We go through about 30-minute presentation. Mr. Harrison and I and staff come and introduce them and just make that transition a little bit easier for 7th graders and first graders. For district, the facility bills, Kendall and Justin and I are working through those. The next steps for that is doing an assessment of our facilities, and so Justin is working on that. The State Department has come up with a rubric and a form that is used, and so we go through it, we do our best to evaluate different aspects. From that, we create the 10-year plan, which is also a template that's given out. I think I forgot to attach it, but it's just a document that is essentially a 10-year plan for your facilities, and it assigns dollar amounts to the different systems based on your facility assessment that's done. So there's a software program that we put all that information in, and it spits out dollar figures to use that money that will be getting this next year. The 10-year plan must be board approved, so you'll see that at some point. It's due next summer, although we want to get it done this fall. We're still getting details regarding how those funds are used, specifically for levies and bonds. Because some of those dollars goes to pay those first. Because if you read that letter from Governor Lowe and Superintendent, they talk about those bills. They're a facility bill, but they're also a tax relief bill. So take a look at that letter at some point. Any questions regarding the facility bills? Back to school meeting, that's for all staff. That's on August 19th. Trustees are invited to come to that. That's breakfast, introduction of new staff, just a meet and greet for new staff before our building meetings. Lori and I will be attending the IASA conference in Boise in July. And Amy is going to give our sick leave.
Just an update on sick leave. We have 2 different ranks. One is classified, one is certified. They come in, they donate a day to it, and it's our policy that they need to access it. They put a requirement in, the board, not the board, basically the board approves it. So just let you know, our classified is sitting at 69 days. No days were used this year, nor have they been used in a couple years. I think the last time they were used was in 21, 22. So 69 for classified staff, and then for certified staff, we are at 125 days. So our policy says here's half of the 125 days, except for new members that are coming in, new staff, new teachers coming in, they can contribute. And the people that are in the game currently are then staying in the game. So we have 125 days for certified nobody's used anything for certified as well. They have not used anything for certified, or at least the ones for 5 years that we've been tracking. Any questions? Can I add on to real quick, August 19th is going to be probably a busy day with us, because we'll have back to school meeting, district meeting. We'll also have the 7th grade orientation, and we'll have a board meeting that night as well. So just don't forget Monday night board meeting next month. And then we also have, Mr. Kirk talked about the conference that he and Roy will attend. We're going to attend a conference in November for ISBA. That's our annual conference. It's down in Boise. I'm just kind of saying it out there now. It's November 6th through the 8th, which is a Wednesday through Friday. In Boise, keep it in the back of your mind if you plan on attending or not attending. We'll talk more about it as that time gets closer. I know we will have elections, general elections, November 5th, Tuesday, so just want to put that out there. Thank you.
Are there any trustee reports? Seeing none, we'll go into the action item. First is the nursing services committee.
Sure. Our previous nurse, full-time jobs. We had an applicant for nursing services. Is on the back of that page. So with this, they're not an employee of the district contract right now, so it's higher. Our previous agreement was with our nurse to pay her $45 an hour, up to 6 hours per month. After talking with the nurse that is here applying, we settled on 50. As a proposal to you guys, at no more than 6 hours a month. And honestly, that's probably a little high at 6 hours, but very rare to see that many hours. And then the services include a list of their vaccination records, vision hearing tests, growing up classes and kittiness. Those are pretty much the things right there.
So she goes by
Yes.
she is
Yeah, Paul. This case.
So she had a couple of those.
No, it's not. Yeah, we might see her. Given that she has to apply for home. She does. That she.
All those in favor say aye. Two changes to classified voting. Any comments on that?
We did some looking at other districts and different rates of pay, and we're recommending changing these, those are listed in red, to those. basically these changes will cost us just $5,000 this next year. With those 4 people, because of the increase. Just currently, they would all fall in the $15.50 per hour range. Their current rates will go back, so we're talking up to that minimum.
Yeah, I did make a few little clerical errors, adjustments, but that's about it. Cleaned it up a little bit.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024-25 annual sports meeting.
Okay, with the handbook, I highlighted the changes in yellow. So just to quickly go through on page 6, we added attendance at school-sponsored activities or functions such as like a state tournament as an excused absence. Oftentimes we have siblings go and then it's unexcused and you guys are like that. On page 8, student use of facilities. I'll just read this. Students may not be engaged in any activity in classrooms, gym, library, auditorium, or use any other equipment without proper supervision and/or authorization from staff. So I added authorization from staff. This is something that always comes up. We have kids that use the facility with permission, but it's always said in the past that they have to be directly supervised by a staff member. This changes it to with authorization. The other change is on page 12, electronics. We have added the cell phone pouches in every classroom, which phones will be required to be put in for the entirety of the classroom. So that's added here as well. You've probably been seeing a lot in the news about the districts doing these things here. On page 20, I added junior high to BPA because we do have a junior high aspect to that. And that's it. We take it and give it back to the parent.
Push back, staff.
Every staff member that has talked about it openly with me, I said, you know what? It supports them better, I think.
It's working for us.
That's all I have for the handbook.
All the questions.
for policy 9705. These also introduce suggested courses to help homeless students on track academically by ensuring they receive appropriate credit for courses they fully and partially completed. Substantial changes related to the utilization requirements are required in this required policy.
Make a motion to amend policy 36.
Been moved and seconded to amend policy 36, education. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Consider amending 3320 substance and alcohol abuse. This update adds policy language noting that if a district or charter school requires assessment and counseling to prepare their alcohol use as a condition for re-admitting the student, the district or charter must provide these services. It also includes language suggesting that the working student use of alcohol regardless of law enforcement is optional in some cases. Idaho Code appears to provide this regardless of whether it's in the subject. Along with these substantial areas, there are changes that rewrite and reorganize parts of the policy to make it clear about what requirements apply under which circumstances. This is a recommended update to the recommended policy. We have the old policy.
Make a motion to amend policy 36.
Moved and seconded to amend policy 32 substance and alcohol abuse. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Consider amending 74 PG procurement method under a federal award. This policy adds a requirement related to competitive proposals for federal administrative schools. It also modifies the threshold of which cost and price analysis must be performed for non-accredited proposals based on the facts of option of determining the consultant on this policy suggested two alternative options for this threshold. This is a recommended update to the optional procedure.
With the roof on JS, because we used COVID money, but there was only one company that had funds in our area, so technically we should have had bids, but we didn't, so we don't have bids.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to amend policy 7452, president members under federal award. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Consider amending 7405, during public work services. These changes update the dollar amount threshold for required positions to bring them in line with current Idaho law. It also adds a caveat about fire departments and use of Idaho budget only when not prohibited. Finally, it adds a suggested dollar amount for minimum capital outlay costs and fire department to be approved. This is a recommended update to the recommended
Make a motion to amend policy 7405.
Moved and seconded to amend policy 7405. Securing public work services to personnel. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Consider amending 7407, public procurement of goods and services. And these basically are just list of entities that we charge with exchange property with. Most of these changes are intended to make this policy more clear and concise. These are recommended changes to the required policy.
Make a motion to amend the policy.
Move second to amend 9100. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, agenda item 9, policy. I'll turn that over to Steve.
Well, we got a lot of policies from the SBA for the summer. Okay, 1140. And just stop me as we go through this, but as you're looking at it, the green is generally what's been added, what they added, the red is generally what they're deleting, and the yellow is generally an option, although the two policies really kind of different form there. Okay, 1140, vacancies. This update was prompted by House Bill 645, which changed vacancies after recall elections. This had to do with West Bonner, I believe, when they had the recall and the board member was still trying to conduct agenda items and action and so forth before it was certified. So this cleans that up. If you look at that policy, there's a few things that most of these policies are just minor changes, but this one, the only option thing is just the fact that we're a joint district, so it'd be in our home county if you look at that on the first page. So other than that, there's not really a lot there. The next one is 1500B, board operating procedure and status. This one is also up for amendment. This update is prompted by House Bill 645 on recall elections and by Senate Bill 1361A on public comment. 645 provided limitations on the ability of trustees subject to recall. Okay, sort of same sort of deal. This is a required update to a required policy. And if you look at that policy, it's really just a listing of procedure and procedural type things for the board and for board meetings. I feel like I'm looking at the wrong one right now. Give me a second. I read it was 1500B. Okay, 1500P is the procedure. And that one I filled in the optional thing with the same information we have from our current policy. So when adding to the agenda occurs, the clerk, administration, or patron of the district may also suggest inclusion on the agenda. Such suggestions must be received by the board clerk, please. And I filled in 10 days because that's what we had before. But that's an optional thing. And then there's some items that were deleted and added as well. Also related to the recall of trustees. Now, 1500B is the sample board operating protocol, which is a new document, which is general operating procedures. They do say it's a required document, but not a required policy. I tend to go with these documents that we do in the policy manual, but any questions or comments on that operating protocol? Okay. (2320), which is health enhancement and education. This update was prompted by Senate Bill 1308 and House Bill 666, which were signed into law this year. The former requires district or charter schools to provide information on adoption alongside any sex education they provide. The latter prohibits districts or charter schools from using sex ed materials or instruction provided by an abortion provider. These edits also remove some non-required practices related to HIV prevention and replace some optional portions on instruction about HIV and AIDS with instruction on sexually transmitted infections more generally. Some material on sex ed is removed from policy 2340, placed in this policy for improved clarity and usability, and supplemented with an additional option for the district or school's approach to teaching about abstinence. The updates related to adoption and abortion providers are recommended updates to a required policy. The other updates are optional. So if you look at that policy, there's quite a bit that was added. And there is one section in the second paragraph down where we have to select an option. So, first option, the board directs that a philosophy of abstinence shall be a part of and the underlying principle in all sex education instruction. The other option is the board directs that sex education instruction shall include instruction on abstinence. So those are the two language choices there for that policy. The first one again, shall be a part of and the underlying principle in all sex ed instruction, or the board directs that sex ed instruction shall include instruction on abstinence. And our current sex education provided by Bush Medical kind of fits both of those. It is the underlying principle, but it doesn't include abstinence. So, what are thoughts on that?
It seems like the one time you're hanging out to figure out what the education is for. I mean, under either you're required to have the underlying, or we just have to include somewhere. So if we look at entire, I think it's a English. Are there ones that the underlying principle isn't abstinence? You see what I'm saying here?
I mean, yeah, I do. It would be easier if we just mandated that it's a part of the instruction. It would definitely be easier for us. Currently, we kind of need both of them anyway, but if you're saying it's the underlying theme, then it is a little bit of a judgment call. So it makes it a little bit harder. But, I mean, we'll make whatever one work.
My suggestion is that you just say that the board directs sex education to include abstinence.
Yes, sir. And then the rest of that is all stuff that is required by law anyway. Okay. The next one is 2320F and 2340F, parental opt-out form for sex ed. ISB is renumbering this model form to group it with the health enhancement education policy. So there's a change in number there to put it with 2320. So it's changing from 2340F to 2320F. This is an amendment. It also makes several changes to bring it into alignment with policy 2340, including adding adoption to the list of topics that may be discussed in sex ed instruction, adding the new second option for describing the district or school's approach to instruction on abstinence, and replacing mention of instruction on AIDS awareness and STDs with broader mentions of sexually transmitted infections. These are optional updates to an optional form. So the form is an opt-out form that just updates the language with current medical law and policy. Yeah.
Have you used one?
Yes. There's an opt-out form. Okay. Okay, 2340, controversial issues and academic freedom. This update removes material related to sex education, replacing it with a reference to policy 2320, where information on this topic can now be found. It also provides a more specific reference to procedure 2345B, controversial speakers procedure. Optional update to an optional policy. So it takes out the sex ed stuff because it's in a different policy. And then It does have an optional piece on number 3 on the second page. So the optional piece is the teacher shall notify parents or guardians when controversial issues may be discussed and that they may have their child excused if family, religious, or moral values so dictate. The teacher should have the principle of view questionable materials, etc. My recommendation is to not have that in there, but I think then you have to have a judgment call on what is controversial and what. That could be a lot of things, I guess. I can say currently, whenever we have something come up that may be controversial, which I can't even think of anything right now, we always discuss it, the teacher discusses it with me. And if we need to notify parents, we do. We have had it. Okay. That is 2340. 2385, English language learners, recommended update to a required policy. This has a piece related to statewide assessments for English language learners. Basically, schools can exempt some kids. Okay. 2415, supporting students with characteristics of dyslexia, also prompted by House Bill 566. This update reflects the children who qualify for the IRI exemption may also be exempt from dyslexia screeners. This update also removes now outdated language about the timeline for implementing this policy. This is a recommended update to an optional policy. So this one just aligns it with the previous policy. (2435) Advanced opportunities. This update was prompted by Senate Bill 1359 and House Bill 474. It increases the amount of money available for students for advanced opportunities, which is now $46.25 per student. It also lifted the cap on CTE workforce training courses. So that was self-explanatory, I guess. 2500 library materials. This update is prompted by House Bill 710A, which established the Idaho Children's School and Library Protection Act. This update, the update from this will be spread across several policies, procedures, and forms. The new law requires that books that meet the legal definition of harmful to minors be placed in an adults-only section of the library. Because most school libraries do not serve adults, legal counsel suggests that creating a restricted materials access for minor students that can be accessed with parent guardian permission. This is a required update to a required policy. So if you look at 2500, the green section is there on the first page. Access to library, restricted materials, excuse me. The school library may have resources available to students that are available only with parent or guardian permission for minor students. Students access to such materials shall require a permission slip signed by the parent or guardian. The permission slip may provide permission to access one or more specific materials to provide permission to access materials in the restricted access section. Students over the age of 18 may check out materials in that section already. So it just discusses the new section of the library, which we don't have any books yet. So far, okay. 2500F, that is the permission slip. Options there, contact information, I would put the building principal. And then as far as the person verifying age or permission slips with the office, I suggest the library. Are you okay with that? Okay. Next one, 2530. Learning materials review and reconsideration. This is 2530 and 2530F, the form associated with it. This update was prompted by House Bill 710A and this new update New updates include reference to classroom libraries, which legal counsel advises is prudent given the new statute. It includes the definition of harmful to minors, which is required by the new statute and is required to be on your form for reconsideration. It also includes a new optional section where the policy can limit the frequency of reconsideration requests for individual materials. This is a recommended update to a required policy and required form. Okay. So, in the second paragraph there, take a look. Any parent or guardian of a district student, any student or any employee, and then an optional piece, or any district resident may formally challenge a specific learning material item. So the question there is, who is allowed to challenge material? Our previous policy just included a parent or guardian, a student, or employee. I'll just put this out there again. There is an option for any district resident. So same as what we had. Okay. And then the bottom of the page is material added to align with current code. Same on the last page, or on the next page. There is an optional piece. They put it in green though. It's an optional piece. Additionally, the district may decline to consider a request for reconsideration of material that has already been the subject of such reconsideration within the past certain amount of time. So if something's already been gone through the reconsider process with the committee, this is saying we won't reconsider it again within a certain amount of time. 4 years,
I think it's
3 years.
a few years. Otherwise, it's going to be an idea.
Yeah, okay, 4 years. Okay. The next page is the document that is the request for review. Okay, 3281, gender identity and sexual orientation. Alongside a couple of minor bits of grammatical cleanup, this update removes a paragraph about use of chosen names and pronouns. I think there was a court decision that came out with that, which prompted this change. This paragraph conflicts with House Bill 538, which was signed into law this year. Initially, we were in a holding pattern until we received further guidance on the pending Title IX regulations. Given recent news that Idaho is one of the states where these updated regulations are currently on hold, we may issue an update on House Bill 538 in a future update. These are recommended updates to an optional policy. So the part that was deleted is on the second page. And to summarize this, the previous policy and law basically said that make sure I'm saying this correctly. Basically, if a family or a kid wanted to use certain names or pronouns, then the school was going to do it. This basically says that a teacher does not have to do that if they don't want to. That's what was taken out. And that was based on something that came up last year. I can't remember. I think there was a court case or something. Anyway, so that's the change on that one. Next one, 3440, student fees, fines, and charges. As of July this year, educational programs a district or charter school offer for a fee or by contract are eligible for payment by the Empowering Parents Grant Program. This update adds a paragraph about such programs, including a note that for fee services should not be included for academic credit or be required to receive credit. for another course, or that such fees be at no cost to the parent, guardian, or student. Optional update to the recommended policy. There is an option here at the bottom of the first page. We have to select one. The district may require as a condition of participation in graduation or issuance of a diploma or certificate that a student return all property, or that they return property and pay all their fees. Basically, everything's paid up. So my recommendation would be the second one, that before we issue a diploma or certificate, that all debts are paid.
Yeah.
Okay. 3,500, student health and physical screenings and examination. This update is based on Senate Bill 1329, which requires that healthcare providers have parent consent before providing any health service to a minor, with exceptions in some emergencies. Basically, if we're going to do anything, we have to get parent permission. Yeah. So it tightens it up a little bit more than what we've had in the past as far as providing, medical help. So,
So then I have one to fill out, for you guys to be able to ask for some copies of this school.
yeah, this is the next one is the form that goes with it. So that's the notice of health services form. So this document prompted by Senate Bill 1329 expand the type of health student services for which district must. So we've always needed parent consent, but now we need more parent consent on more things. And so the form is essential. Do we want to put lights on this? Checking.
I haven't checked the following parents.
So
It's
add
not a
lights.
screening, I could do a screening.
We do a screening, so add lights to that. Okay. $35.23 headlights.
Started?
These updates emphasize the requirement to obtain parent consent before checking a student for headlights in accordance with Senate Bill 1329. This is a recommended update to an optional policy. So the option there, if we want to keep it similar to what we've had in the past, basically the only use of the nurses are not here, we use the building principal or the office manager. The other stuff is all just under break. 3540, emergency treatment. This update also addresses the changes related to parent consent and health services provided to students. It states that parents must return a form indicating which services they consent to and describe circumstances in which emergency treatment may be provided to students without parent consent. It also provides language related to seeking emergency medical care to more clearly align with our current practice of recommending staff not be alone with students or transfer them in personal vehicles. This is a recommended update to an optional policy. Yeah.
Look, you can't get hold of it.
Yeah.
And you have to sign the form.
Yeah.
Are you,
If they gave us permission to proceed, yes.
what's the sign form?
Yep.
I'll tell you, like, there's sometimes you can't get hold of people because of cell service or, and then your kid is bleeding here. So what are you supposed to do?
So if you look on the previous form, there's an option. Parents can, they check. They check, I hereby designate the following emergency contact with my child and grant them authority to consent healthcare. Or I do not wish to designate anybody. There's also something in the place. So the district may also provide healthcare services without parent or guardian consent if the staff's reasonably determined that a medical furnishing the healthcare services necessary to prevent death or imminent irreparable physical injury. Or district staff can't contact the parent or guardian despite a reasonable diligent effort, and the student's life or health will be seriously endangered. So we have to agree with the because we've had that. We've had parents we can't contact, we can't get a hold of them, and there's an emergency. So this makes it harder.
Transport, if you don't have it. Like, do you need to go to an ambulance or like, how's that?
We would call the ambulance.
Like, so that's,
We can't get a hold of a parent. What we've done in the past, if we can't get a hold of a parent, and it's not good, we're not. This is, that's all. There we go. 3523. 4105. Public participation at board meetings. And this is also 4105F. This update was prompted by Senate Bill 1361A, which requires school districts to allow in-person public comment on agenda items prior to taking final action. This doesn't change much. If you look at it, we added some things there to this policy. Some things were struck out, but the optional things, if you want to keep it the same as what we've had in the past, that works just fine. Basically, people have 3 minutes with 30 minutes total for public comment. It's always at your discretion anyway. That's basically the guidelines that you have to work with. It also moves the public comment section before any action, so before the consent agenda or the action items. That's actually a change to the consent because we have public comment after the consent agenda. So I should work before. Okay. And then the documents that people can fill out is 5470, leaves of absence, military leave. These changes are largely based on House Bill 580. The bill extends rights related to military leave from work to members of state militias. These rights include the right to take military leave, including up to 10 days of paid leave for certain military-related activities, the right to remain statement upon their return, and the right to use vacation or similar leave concurrently with unpaid military leave. This is a recommended update to a required policy. So it gives people leave. And they can use it in conjunction with other leave. 7260, student activity funds. This update was prompted by House Bill 450, which allows funds to be expended by a debit or credit card instead of just a regular bank check. Restrictions on contracts. This update adds to the boycott-related restrictions on district contractual contracts that require parties to policy updates district contractual contracts with to sign various certifications. This is based on Senate Bill 1291, which requires contracts greater than $100,000 include a certification that the entity contracted with does not and will not boycott certain industries such as fossil fuel, timber, or firearms. This is a recommended update to the recommended policy. So this is in the 7402, which is entities boycotting industry policy that we already have. Okay. 7408. Entering into professional services contracts. This update adds changes to Senate Bill 1303 that require personal service contracts. The update also includes some edits, replacing references to the public agency or political subdivision with references to the district charter school. Finally, it has language noting that restrictions on considering environmental, social, and governance standards only apply to contracts of 100,000 or more. This is a recommended update to a recommended policy. There's not a lot of changes in that one. Yeah. That's it. So those will be up for amendment next month. And in the meantime, if there's any questions or comments on those, we can look back at it again between now and then. We can always review them again next month. Anyone that needs.
Okay, item 10 is board members,
Tuesday.
That's what I was thinking of, as an action assistant. Well,
Are we gonna take some stuff brought out?
but they were saying Jenny says that she knows them and they can for an assessment, and for like, that's all these things. Reaching out to train on, training, trying to do this, so it's rather for the boys, and it's so Jenny also, Jenny.
So make it nice.
Yeah, it did, and, yeah, it was worth the trip to go down there, but thank you all for.
Okay. You wanna-